So good morning everyone. My name is Lalit Soni and as usual today we'll be discussing Indian Express. We could not come live yesterday, so we'll be discussing those articles today. Okay, most of the news were repetition because you know that importantly if we talk about farm protests are going on, and then there is this issue related to WTO and pressure which India is facing from WTO countries. Okay, and other than that we'll be talking about few different articles that is related to your China's plan along LAC. So basically along LAC, or you can say northeastern sector of LAC around Arunachal Pradesh, China is trying to build some kind of infrastructure, or if we can say that all the border villages, China is trying to send some people over there for so that they can settle over there. Now we don't know that if these people are civilians or military people, so that is why there are certain concerns. So we will be talking about that, and then PM's UAE visit. So recently PM has visited UAE and inaugurated a temple over there, a Hindu temple in a Islamic country. That is a kind of, you can say that, diplomatic win for a country like India. Other than that, we can also talk about the importance of this region when we are talking about Middle East or the Arab countries. We will be talking about the importance of these countries for India. Okay, and then India faces WTO pressure. So you know that because of the farm subsidies or farm loan waivers, MSP, etc., there are certain issues which has been raised against India in WTO, or the when we are talking about advanced countries, they have always been skeptical about these farm subsidies. So that is one thing which we will be talking about today. Other than that, here you can see today's front page. Here, Tamil Nadu House resolution opposed delimitation, one nation, one poll. So that is we have been talking about one nation, one poll. So this particular state has come up with a resolution. Okay. Then second thing is UAE has written golden chapter in history, says PM Modi. Abu Dhabi enhances Ayodhya joy, says PM, opens UAE temple. Okay, after Ayodhya temple inauguration, now we have a temple in a Islamic country which we are having a good bilateral relationship with. So basically we'll be talking about this particular article as well as how and why these countries like UAE, Qatar are being important for us. Okay, then China moves its nationals into vacant defense villages along LAC. So basically these villages earlier were not being inhabited, but now China is sending people to settle over there. So that is a concern for Indian military. So we will be talking about this article as well. So let's start the session with the practice question which was given to you in the last class. Okay. So here you can see which of the country does not have collaboration on India's UPI. So basically yesterday we have talked about Sri Lanka and Mauritius having a contract or signing a contract with India. So we can say that Sri Lanka and Mauritius has it. So these three options cannot be true. So option A would be your right answer. Now with France, I told you that we have referred that there are chances that there are talks been going on around such UPI related agreements, but right now it is not there. So that is why we can say that Sri Lanka and Mauritius has it. Now recently UAE has also signed similar agreement with India. As I told you, PM Modi has visited UAE, and in that particular visit they have signed some MOUs, and now UAE also have this functioning UPI collaboration with India. So now that makes Sri Lanka, Mauritius and UAE. Okay, option A would be your right answer, France. Now moving further, so we'll start with this article of hope. Whenever there is an article, or you can say if you have to write an essay related to diversity of India, or let's say some cultural elements related to it, even other than that also, if you want to start a sociology related answer, okay, so if you try to put this anecdote or story over there, so that would fetch you extra marks. I have taken this because we know that yesterday we have celebrated Basant Panchami, okay, or Saraswati Puja. Now this Dargah Nizamuddin Aulia, okay, so this Dargah in Delhi, they also celebrate this particular festival. Okay, so here you can see a picture wherein you can see yellow scarves everywhere and these flowers over there. Okay, so there is a interesting story behind it. When Nizamuddin Aulia has lost his nephew, okay, so afterwards he was like kind of in depression, or you can say he was not even smiling with people or talking to people. It has been months, but now he has been in that particular phase. But then his disciple Amir Khusro, you must have heard about it. He is a very famous poet as well. okay, and he was in the court of Alauddin Khilji, and he has seen various other emperor of India at that point of time. He was disciple of Nizamuddin Aulia, and then he went to the Nizamuddin, his guru, and he wanted to make sure that he came out of this particular phase of mourning. So that is why while he was going to Delhi, or you can say he was going to his residence, in meanwhile he has seen some laborers which were going to temple, and they were celebrating something. And in that regard, when he saw that, he felt very nice, and he thought that particular joy can make Nizamuddin feel good about it. So that is why what he did was, these laborers were going to a deity or a temple with some flowers, mustard flowers, that is yellow in color, and some scarves around the neck. So he took some flowers, he took some scarves, and went to Nizamuddin. And then that Nizamuddin Aulia felt good after that, and that was the day after which, in this particular place, or this in this sacred place, or you can say Dargah, we still celebrate Basant Panchami over here. So now this is a Hindu festival which is being celebrated in a, you can say, place of worship of Islam. So that is a good, you can say, example of unity in diversity. Or other than that also, we can say that there are various cultural perspectives which has been integrated into each other, so that we cannot say that they are they became the part of our culture, okay, irrespective of the religion. So that is one thing. So if you want to give it a read, you can give it. This is the story which I was talking about, okay. So now let's move further and start with the first article of the day, that is related to China moves its national into vacant defense villages along LAC. So now let's just see the map. Here you can see we are right now talking about this you can say eastern sector of LAC, that is basically Arunachal Pradesh and the border area, okay. So basically this is the border, okay, and this we have Arunachal Pradesh here. So what China is trying to do is, in the areas which are in the vicinity of Tawang here, somewhere here, and in the areas which are in the vicinity of Lohit Valley. So in these areas, China is trying to settle some people over there, or their nationals over there. Now Indian military is saying that we don't have any idea whether these persons are basically civilian people or military people, okay. So that is why that raises a cause of concern. When we are talking about China, China always has this aggressionist policy, okay. They do this, they try to poke Indians time and again. We have seen that there are various raids in Arunachal Pradesh, and when we are talking about various aggressions at LAC sector in Ladakh, etc., Pangong Sole, Galwan Valley, Hot Spring. So all these incidents are kind of, you can say, poking by China to India. Right now what they are trying to do is, in this particular vicinity of areas in Tawang and Lohit Valley, they are trying to settle some nationals over there. What is the plan behind it, we don't know yet, but the thing is that is causing a concern for us. Other than that also, when we are talking about India, India also has similar program, okay, that is Vibrant Village program, okay. So but the thing is, the difference here is that we are not making any new settlements over there. What we are doing is, whatever villages are there in the border areas, we are trying to give them the facilities, the services, okay. So we are trying to make these villages self-sufficient. We are trying to provide these connectivities. We are trying to provide various financial services to these particular villages. So we cannot say that we are going for any kind of new settlements, but we are trying to empower the people which are living over there, so that their living standard can be enhanced, their living condition can be made better, okay. So since these people are living in the border areas, these are having some kind of concern of their own. Other than that also, when we are talking about areas like this, there is a geographical constraint, etc. That is why such program was necessary for India, okay. But in the, when we are talking about China, they are going for the new settlements, okay. Now here we can see model Z Kang border defense village across India's northeastern borders, okay. So this model Z Kang, okay. So under this model, what they are doing is, they are trying to settle new people or their Chinese national along the border areas in the northeastern sector of LAC, okay, along LAC since 2019. That is happening since 2019. Chinese have started occupying a couple of these villages built on its side of LAC. Now one factor here important is that they are doing this on their side of LAC. So as of now, there is no aggression in India's territory, okay. So they are doing it in their side of LAC from Lohit Valley and the Tawang sector of the Arunachal Pradesh. We have seen that this is the Tawang sector and this is Lohit Valley. Okay, China has been constructing 6 to 8 such well of villages along India's border with Tibet Autonomous Region, including Ladakh, Arunachal Pradesh, for even more than 5 years. So basically, right now we have seen this is in the news, but when we are talking about Ladakh sector as well, that is also happening. Now we are talking about Ladakh sector, and then we are talking about this Arunachal Pradesh. Why is that? We are having little boundary in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand area as well. So why is that China is not going there, okay, and not doing such things? Because when we are talking about Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand areas, there are already well placed settlements and there are Indian settlements, okay. So those people identify themselves as Indian. These peoples are living over there and they know their territory, and that is why China is not doing any such activity. But when we are talking about these sectors like Arunachal Pradesh or Ladakh, when we are talking about Ladakh especially, that is a remote area, so we don't know, or not many people are living there. So that is a clear demarcation is not there. Even people don't know their territory. Those patrolling troops which are going there for patrolling, they are also somehow confused, because whenever Chinese troops come this side, they mark their territory in a different way, and when our troops go there, they mark their territory in a different way. So that is why this thing can kept happening over there. Okay, now China is trying to do a permanent settlement over there of their own people, since LAC is not a demarcated boundary. So that is why if they place their settlement over there and these people claim that this is our territory, that would be a harm for India's territory, right? So that is why it is happening in the Ladakh sector, and second in the Arunachal Pradesh sector, okay, and not in the Himachal and Uttarakhand, because they have they identify their own you can say territory. Okay, so now coming back to the article, here exact nature of these villages is unclear, whether they are civilian in nature or military in nature, that is unclear, and this dual use infrastructure for both civil and military purposes. So basically they can be used for both military and civil purposes as per their want. Okay, it is seen as China's assertion of its territorial claim along the LAC, okay, confirm concerns for the Indian military. So obviously, as I told you, they are trying to build assertion of their own territory, and that is why it is a cause of concern for India's military. Okay, Chinese are building infrastructure along LAC borders in the northeast, even as the LAC remains far off from the inhabited areas or areas of importance except Tawang and Siliguri corridor. When we are talking about, actually they are saying that these are inhabited areas, now they are going for the settlements, that is we have discussed. But when we are talking about Tawang, we have talked here, and then Siliguri corridor. Siliguri corridor, you must have heard about it, and we have discussed it in our sessions as well. Siliguri corridor is a small patch of Indian territory which actually connects India with the northeastern states of India. Okay, so if we lost access to Siliguri corridor, that will actually cut off supplies for North Indian states. Okay, so that Siliguri corridor is kind of strategic for us. Okay, other than that, when we are talking about Siang Valley of Arunachal Pradesh, so that is another area where infrastructure is being developed. Rapid development of Chinese infrastructure that is happening over there consistently improve their existing infrastructure connectivity through passes connecting roads and bridges, okay, and their model villages. So basically that is the objective of them. When we are talking about our Indian side, we have this vibrant village program, okay, wherein India plans to develop 663 border villages into modern villages with all the amenities. In the first place, 17 of such villages has been identified in Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh area. Okay, so basically out of 663, that is the target number of village we have to develop. Right now we have only selected 70. Okay, so that is India's vibrant village program. Now I'm assuring you that this vibrant village program becomes important for you. We have discussed this program in our recap 2023 series, that is related to government scheme, where we have discussed this vibrant village program. Now since it is in news because of other reasons as well, that becomes even more important for you. Okay, Arunachal Pradesh has 3 major highways. When we are talking about infrastructure creation on India's side of territory, we are going for various connectivity projects. So right now Arunachal Pradesh have 3 major highways: Trans Arunachal highways, then frontier highways, east-west industrial corridor. Okay, so that is for the improvement of the connectivity in the northeastern region, and if we are talking about broadly, then we can say that India with the northeastern region. Okay, now this Dibang Valley is also important. Okay, so we have talked about Lohit Valley. Dibang Valley is also in Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, it is work is underway to improve the connectivity to the through the passes, inter-valley connectivity, construction of helipad and advanced landing grounds at various locations. So this is the aim for us when we are talking about connectivity projects, etc. Construction will take time, because of the difficult terrain and the geography over there. Okay, as I told you, these areas are having a difficult geography, or you can say there are geographical constraints. Other than that, also there are chances of unpredictable climate, or there are rain, etc. That is why these projects are being delayed. Okay, so that is about this particular article we have discussed. Along with that, we have discussed why Ladakh sector and Arunachal Pradesh are seeing such aggressions. Other than that, one more thing I would like to tell you when we are talking about Arunachal Pradesh here. Whenever we are talking about any kind of tension in bilateral ties between two countries, there is always a background issue. Okay, when we are talking about Arunachal Pradesh, we have this issue of hydro diplomacy. Okay, what is hydro diplomacy? So when we are talking about China, China is a water scarce country. They require water as per whatever their population is. Based on that, their water, based on the water requirement they would want to have for their population, they don't have that amount of water. Okay, so for that they need water. Though most of the course of Brahmaputra river, that is in China, but the thing is, since it is in the hilly terrain area, so basically water collection or water storage there is very low. Okay, so ultimately what happens, most of the time, most of the course of the Brahmaputra is in China. It flows in China for a longer time, and then since it is in hilly area, so it does not get collected over there, and then it enters to Arunachal Pradesh, and Arunachal Pradesh provide the, you can say, plain, or you can say area for the storage. Okay, so most of the water, or nearly more than 70% of the water, or 66% of the water, comes and stored in the Arunachal Pradesh area. Now, since for the water requirement of China, Arunachal Pradesh becomes important, because most of the water of Brahmaputra get stored in the Arunachal Pradesh. That is why these valley regions like this Dehang Valley region, Lohit Valley region, these valley regions are quite important for China. Okay, so that is why China is trying to get control over Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, so that is something, some background linkages you can say. Now come back to the next article that is related to your India UAE that visit. I will talk about. Hold on a second. Okay, so Prime Minister Modi has made a visit to UAE. On the way back, he has gone to Qatar as well. Why UAE? Because there was this temple which has been inaugurated in UAE, so that is why he went there for the inauguration. And he has said that joy of Ram Mandir actually has been enhanced by this particular temple in UAE. Okay, this temple in UAE is related to Swami Narayan Samudaya. You know that. Okay, so now we'll be talking about importance of UAE and why Qatar. Because you must have heard about this death sentence which has been given to 8 Navy personnel, which was commuted later to imprisonment. But then recently this particular punishment has been revoked, and these people were sent back to India. 7 out of 8 people has come to India. So basically we can say that Qatar has done well to India. Why? Because there is a background diplomacy, or you can say quiet diplomacy. When we are talking about this when we are talking about this Qatar issue or Qatar case, in this Qatar case, this quiet diplomacy has played an important role. When we are talking about Canada's case, when there was this Nizar killing, okay, and then when we are talking about other, when we are Pakistan, if we are talking about Kulbhushan Jadhav case, in those cases, India has taken a strong stand. They have gone to international forum as well. When we are talking about Kulbhushan Jadhav case, India went to international forums. When we are talking about Canada's case, India has taken a strong stand, and they have actually sent their diplomats back to Canada. But in this case, you must have seen that there was no such activity happened. India has used their quiet diplomacy or their diplomacy in a very quiet and calm manner. They have made sure that this country is important for us, and accordingly they have reacted. Okay, but the thing is, our diplomacy has done very well. When we are talking about Qatar, this is a successful example of our Indian diplomacy. When we are talking about UAE, it is also a successful example, because back then, if you're talking about 20 years ago, these relations were not as good as they are now. Okay, when we are talking about Arab countries, in the last regime, when we are talking about UPA's regime, at that point of time, they have made merely 4 visits in the 10 years. But in the last 10 years, we have seen that Pradhan Mantri Modi or PM Modi has made nearly 15 visits to this particular area. So that gives, or that signifies, that how this area is important for us. Okay. So considering all these things, you can say that these Arab countries are important for us, be it energy security, and other than that also, now we are actually kind of diversifying our relationship with Arab countries. When we are talking about investments as well, these countries are having a huge capital because of the hydrocarbon, or the you can say crude oil which they had. Because of those resources, they have acquired a heavy capital, and now they are trying to invest it in the market. Now India can become a very good opportunity for these countries as well. You can say that these two countries are kind of having opportunity for each other. When we are talking about India, India will have a larger say in this particular area, and India will have a larger energy security. Other than that, for these countries, they can come here and invest here. Okay, these countries are also looking for diversification. India can go over there and invest over there as well. Now recently one pact was inked that is related to UPI. So in the matter of financial services, now they are going for more collaboration. Okay, so now let's come back to the article. India UAE ink pacts on linking digital payments, platforms, trade, energy, etc. In 2015, Narendra Modi became India's first PM in 34 years to visit the UAE after I guess 1981. This was the visit. Okay, a new comprehensive strategic partnership has been established between these countries. Here you can say India and UAE signed pact on bilateral investment promotions, port infrastructure development, power trade, interlinking of digital payments, platforms like UPI, credit card, debit card, and intergovernmental framework agreement on India Middle East Economic Corridor. Now this particular corridor, which has been announced in G20, that is India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor. Okay, so basically you can say that now we are trying to connect India with Europe through Middle East. Okay, so Middle East becomes important for in that matter as well. Okay, so we can ultimately say that now we are focusing on our extended neighborhood. As Atal Bihari Vajpayee has said that we can change our friends, but we cannot change our neighborhood. Okay, so when we are talking about the neighbors, it is important that we have cordial relations with our neighbors. Before 1991, we have had this particular distance from these countries because various reasons were there. When we are talking about influence of Pakistan, since Pakistan has a common thing or shared interest, or you can say shared religion with these countries, and that is why we were of this opinion that they will be close to Pakistan. But we kind of underestimated the desire of these countries to collab more with India. Okay, so that is one thing. Other than that, when we are talking about this area, before 1991, you know that this area was a game, or you can say game arena or war arena of these Cold War. USA and USSR were present over here, so we were trying to go for non-alignment movement. So we have kept our distance from these region as well. But after 1991, we were becoming globalized, and we are kind of inclined to USA. And because of our economic interest, because of the connectivity related interest and energy resources related dependency, we have started to give more prominence, more significance to these countries as well. Okay, so now coming back to the article. The visit saw the signing of key agreements on bilateral investment, port infrastructure, power trade, and digital payments. Here you can say that earlier when we were talking about these countries, our most of the agreements were related to the energy exchange or crude oil. Now you can say that there is a diversity in the agreements as well, that is related to bilateral investments, port infrastructure, power trade, digital payment integrations. Okay, now bilateral investment treaty aims to promote investments between India and UAE, that is very clear. Then because UAE is trying to go for diversification of their resources, okay, and diversification of their economy, India is trying to go for make in India, manufacturing in India become an export hub, and that is why investment is required. So that is bilateral investment treaty. Comprehensive economic partnership agreement further strengthen the economic relations and promoting trade and investment. Then India Middle East economic corridor. As I told you, this is a connectivity corridor between India and Europe, and through Middle East, and that is why Middle East becomes important. Okay, an agreement to foster regional connectivity and cooperation. Now moving further, here you can see digital payment integration. In this we are going for the agreement between UPI in India and AANI from UAE's part, and RuPay India with Jaiwan. So now what we are doing is we are providing our financial technologies like UPI as well as RuPay, and so that the transactions can be seamlessly or without any delay. Okay. Now UAE's investment in India is estimated to be nearly 20 to 21 billion US dollar in the from 2020 to 2023. Okay, so that is a good amount, with UAE being the fourth biggest FDI investor in India. So that is why UAE is important for us. And now BAPS, Bochasan Vasi Akshar Purushottam Swami Narayan Temple. Okay, so this temple has been established over there and inaugurated. In that, the state of UAE, or you can say UAE government, has played an immense role, and they have supported it. They have provided land for it. You can say this is the first Hindu temple in this particular area. When we are talking about our diaspora, the various people are living over there. There are nearly 150 to 170 families from this particular sect. Okay, so that is why they have gone for this temple. So that is also a good thing for our cultural ties. Okay, so now along with cultural ties, this is also good for their tourism sector. Okay, so since they are trying to diversify their economy, tourism is a very important area, and that is very lucrative as well. So that is why this temple which fetch a good amount of tourists to UAE now. Okay, so that is about this article. Now coming back to the third article of the day, that is India faces WTO pressure on farm subsidy amidst protest from for the minimum support price by the farmers. Okay, hold on. So WTO, we have talked about it various times. Okay, that is the country which makes sure that countries don't go for trade distorting practices. Okay, now when we are talking about subsidies or any kind of financial assistance which has been given by government to various communities or the manufacturers, those particular subsidies etc. can act as a trade distorting practices, because obviously government is trying to help them so that their cost price. Okay, when we are talking about, let's say there is a product. Okay, let's say pharmaceutical. Okay, we are trying to be a hub for pharmaceutical. So now if in a pharmaceutical sector, government is giving, let's say one particular drug that cost nearly $100. Okay, but the thing is government is giving you a subsidy of nearly $70. Okay, so now the cost price which has been imposed on the producer is nearly 30 rupees or $30. Now that producer can sell it at 40-50 rates. Okay, but the thing is other countries which are going for without any subsidy, they are producing it at same rate, that is 100, or if they have better technology they can produce it at nearly 70 rupees. Okay, but the thing is, since 70 rupees is the amount of subsidy which has been given to these people, here he is selling it as 40 or 50 rupees, but since his cost price only is 70, he cannot actually go for competition with such industry. Okay, so sometimes these subsidies can be trade distorting. Okay, and that is why, that is one of the aim of WTO, so that people don't go for the trade distorting practices. Now recently advanced countries are saying that India is giving a lot of subsidies, loan waiver etc. to their farmers. Okay, and mostly their concern is related to MSP. Okay, MSP is the, you can say, price which government pays to their farmers for their procurements. Okay, so India announced MSP for nearly 22 crops plus one sugarcane, that is FRP is announced. So now they are saying that since you are giving such MSP to these farmers, because of which their you can say products are basically cheap, and that is why you can go for export of such things at a lesser rates. Okay, but the thing is, India's aim to give MSP is not for export, it is for the self sufficiency in the food grains. Okay, that is one thing. Second thing is, that is not for the export purpose, that is for the purpose of increasing the income of farmer. Okay, so that is not for the purpose of export, that is for the increasing the income of farmers, because they are merely surviving on the subsistence level. So that is one thing. So that is why India is going for such MSP related things, but now these advanced countries are saying that you should not go for it, because when we are talking about WTO, when they actually take take into account such things, they take into account not as a per head but as a total value. Okay, when we are talking about a farmer, if we are giving some MSP to a small farmer, I don't think he will be benefited much out of it. Okay, still after MSP etc., we are still seeing that farmers are going for suicide. Okay, but when we are talking about these organizations, what they do is they see the value of the subsidy which you are giving, the value of the amount which you are giving to MSP. So okay, so they will be seeing the total amount of value which Indian government is spending on the farmers on the MSP. So obviously, since farmers are more, so obviously that amount would be larger for India. So that is why I say that they are saying that you are spending a lot of amount on MSP, and that is why that is trade distorting, and you should stop it. Okay, now Indian farmers concern is that you should give us MSP for all the crops. Recently these protests are there, that is related to MSP, and there are certain other demands, but the thing is, mostly they are saying that you should go for MSP for all the crops, and there should be a legal backing to it. Okay, so now that is the dilemma which we will be talking about in this particular article. Okay. So the government's headroom to accede to the protesting farmers' demand for legal guarantee of MSP, pressure on its farm subsidy at WTO organization. So we know that in the next few days there will be a meeting of WTO from 26th to 29 February. That will be a ministerial conference. When we are talking about WTO and its working, ministerial conferences are kind of very important, because these takes the decision on the working of WTO. So here there will be a meeting on February 26 to 29, and India has said that if there is any kind of talk which is non-trade in nature, we will not participate in that. That is one thing which we have discussed in the past. But right now our issue is to attain greater flexibility to the offer farm support. India is in the process of pushing for a permanent solution at the upcoming ministerial. We are saying that there should be a permanent solution to this problem. Okay, since advanced countries are saying that we are going for such MSP and that should be stopping. Now why India is giving such MSP despite being a member of WTO? Because there is a peace clause in WTO agreements. There is a peace clause which allows India to go for MSP like activities. Okay, so here you can say a deadlock over politically charged issues between developed and developing countries is unlike to see a resolution. India is trying to go for a permanent solution to this issue, but the thing is, there is a deadlock between developed and developing countries. Okay, now there has been claimed that India's public stock holdings, that is PSS program, is highly subsidized, and they are talking about your PDS system. They are saying that it is highly subsidized, and the farm support that India gives is distorting to the global food prices and hurting food security. Okay, so which we have already discussed, that they are saying that because of these subsidies, the trade in farm, you can say food products, that is being distorted. Proposal to slash trade distorting farm support in WTO, this triggering tensions among developing nations including India, while India's per farmer subsidy is abysmally low compared to what countries like US are giving. Okay, so let's say India is spending nearly, let's say, rupees 10,000 crores. Okay, and India has let's say amount of farmers, let's say 1 crore. So per head, if we see that we are spending only 10,000 rupees, okay, in a year. But when we are talking about USA, they are spending, let's say, some 6,000 crores, and amount of farmers over there is merely, let's say, some 60 lakhs. or even less than that, we can say that 6 lakhs. So we can say that the per head consumption is more in USA. USA is giving more subsidy per head, and when we are talking about India, per head we are giving very less subsidy. Okay, but the thing is, they are going for the aggregate value, and because the number of farmers here are more, and that is why they are saying that India is going for the more subsidies. But as a matter of fact, if we see per capita or per head subsidy, that is more in USA. Okay. Notably, India cannot be dragged into a dispute over these subsidies because it is protected under peace clause that agreed by WTO members in Bali ministerial. As I told you, these ministerial conferences are important. In Bali ministerial conference, okay, that happened in 2013. So in that particular conference, there was this peace clause wherein India can go for subsidies, okay, and because we are giving these subsidies not for distortion of the trade but for the betterment of the farmers community, okay. So that is one thing. Farmers group has stated that agriculture should be taken out of WTO, but that approach could pose problems. As I told you, yesterday we have discussed this demands, 12-point agenda by the farmers, and one demand is that India should come out of this WTO, okay, and all the free trade agreements should be slashed, or they should be ended. But the thing is, if you go for such thing, that is the regressive thing to do, because when we are talking about WTO, okay, that is a useful body for us, okay, because that is trying to discipline the trade, or when we are talking about trade distorting activities by the developed countries, that is a platform where we can raise our concerns, okay. So, but that approach could pose problems and would restrict India and other developing nations from disciplining the subsidies being given in by the developed world, okay. If a new scheme are to be implemented, then those products will have to comply with the 10% subsidy ceiling. They will not be protected under the peace clause. So that is one thing that they are talking about, but recently that is not important because obviously this is just a speculation. Now India has not only pushed for the measures to amend the formula to calculate the food subsidy cap, but also include program implemented after 2013 into the ambit of peace clause, okay. So while the developed countries are saying that you should keep these subsidies out of this peace clause, India is saying that we are trying to even add more into it, okay. So after 2013, if there is any scheme which has been launched for the betterment of farmers, we are trying to include that particular scheme into this peace clause as well, okay. So that is issue related to your farm subsidies and WTO pressure. Now moving further, RTI says that states flags higher rate of EVM breakdown ahead of 2019 Lok Sabha elections. So when we are talking about elections, there is this first level check which has been done on the EVM machines, and in that first level check, that we are assuming that if there is a 5% error, that is okay, otherwise we have to take some action. But right here you can say that in 2019 Lok Sabha elections, there were major breakdowns of EVMs, okay. When we are talking about breakdown of EVM, that is related to functioning of the EVM and not on the credibility of the EVM, okay. So here you can say that malfunctioning or the breakdown of EVM does not imply they are open to rigging or tampering. Like any machine, EVM too can malfunction, and however frequent instance of breakdown can lead to interruption in the voting, slow down the process, and potentially affect the voter turnout. So basically, if there is a delay because of the breakdown or the malfunction, there can be a delay, slowing down of the voting process, and that can actually deter the voter behavior. They might not go for the more, turnout won't be more, because those will think it will take time, okay. So that is why that issue becomes important. So again, I am telling you, when we are talking about breakdown of these EVMs in 2019 election, we are not questioning the credibility of these EVMs. We are just saying that there is some technical issue, okay. So now documents reveal concern over failures of EVM parts during 2019 Lok Sabha election preparations. The Election Commission and manufacturer have been working on addressing these issues, including conducting analysis, taking corrective actions post elections. So once they realize that there are certain issues, they are trying to work it out, okay. Now there are next general elections, that is why we have taken this. A first level check, as I told you, before placing EVMs into picture, there is a first level check is conducted to ensure EVMs proper functioning, that is ballot unit, control unit, VVPAT, all these units are working fine. High failure rates persisted leading several states to request additional machines due to malfunctions rate as high as 30%. Okay, the acceptable failure rates is nearly 5%. If there is 5%, that is fine because it is a machine that can happen, but that was 30% in the last elections. Instance of malfunctioning include issued during first level check when inputting candidate's name and symbol. Okay, so that is some issue. High failure rates raised across raise concern but not implying susceptibility to rigging or tampering, which we have discussed that we are not questioning the credibility. Despite challenges, EC has emphasized effort to enhance EVM and VVPAT performances and reduce replacement rate in future elections. Okay, so that is the concern which EC is trying to resolve. Now moving further in the world page, we know that Pakistan's elections, and now Shahbaz Sharif would be the prime minister. Along with the other parties, they have gone for the coalition. So now Pakistan will see a coalition government, and PTI, or you can say members supported by Imran Khan, will be sitting in the opposition. Okay. Now second thing is NATO is sacred commitment for US. Trump looked at as a burden, says Biden. Okay. So there was some issue related to NATO. We will talk about it as well. Okay. In the next slide. Right now, US Senate okays Ukraine aid bill, but path ahead is unclear. Okay, so US has gone for the aid for Ukraine. When we are talking about this aid, USA has given the aid for Israel, Ukraine, or Taiwan. Other than that, also they have provided aid for the civilians which has been impacted in the Gaza area as well. Okay, so that has happened. And when we are talking about this particular aid, Russia is saying that there are chances that they could have gone for the agreement with Ukraine, but such steps has taken war even further. Okay, so that is about Ukraine, Russia-Ukraine issue. And now here we can talk about the NATO. NATO, you know that after, when we are talking about Cold War, after World War II, in the Cold War era, we have gone for certain alliances. Okay, NATO was one of that alliance. Okay, in that alliance, countries like USA, Canada, along with the other European countries, they have made one alliance that if a country is attacking any one of these countries, that particular attack would be considered as attack on all of them. Okay, let's say there are some 15 European countries which were under NATO at that point of time, and then if someone is attacking any one of that country, that attack would be considered as attack on NATO, as in attack on USA, Canada, and all other 15 countries. Okay, that says, that is given under the Article 5 of their agreement, or you can say their constitution. Okay, so NATO's constitution says under the Article 5 that if you are attacking one country, attack is on the all other countries as well. Now when there is an attack, they can reciprocate as well. Okay, so now what did Trump say about NATO funding and what is Article 5? So Trump has made some statement. That statement was that if you are not paying for the defense related or the technology enhancement in NATO, in that case we will not go for any kind of support in any event of war. Okay, so basically a country or a person has asked him that, let's say if I don't pay or our contribution in the NATO and there is an attack on my country, would you be helping us? And Trump has said that no, we will not. You should pay if you are part of it. If you should pay, if you are not paying, you will not get any support. Okay, so that is a cause of concern for all the NATO countries, as well as the US lobby. There is a lobby which is supporting NATO. Okay, so that is a concern, and that is what Trump has said, and because of which various people has criticized him. Okay, so coming back to the basics of this particular, he has said that would not defend NATO allies who failed to spend enough on the defense, would even encourage Russia to attack them. He has said that Russia can do whatever they want. Okay, if they are not paying the contributions, we will not go for help, any kind of help. So what is NATO? North Atlantic Treaty Organization. These are the members. Right now NATO has 31 members. Recently Finland has joined recently. Okay, so that is about the organization. You don't have to remember the name of all these countries, just have an idea which part is having this organization. Along with USA, Canada, there are some other countries like the European countries, like you can say Finland, France, Spain, UK, etc. They are part of NATO. Other than that, there are countries which are trying to be part of NATO, that is Ukraine is trying, Sweden is trying, Okay. Which countries are in NATO? As I told you, there are 31 members along with USA and Canada. There are other European countries, and newest member is Finland. What did Trump say? We have talked about it. They have said that if you are not paying it, you will not get any support. How NATO is funded? So basically, when we are talking about NATO, the funding is based on the contribution of the members only. Okay. So basically, these members will have to spend certain amount of their GDP on defense related technology, and that can be used by everyone. Okay. So basically, they have said that nearly 2% of the GDP you have to, at least 2% you have to spend, and uh, they will buy arms, etc., and then can be used by the all NATO countries. Okay. Now other thing is that most of them did not go for meeting this goal last year. Okay. So that is why this statement came, because that is an obligation on the NATO members, but most of people did not pay it, and that is why Trump has said such things. Now, what is NATO's Article 5, which we have already discussed? NATO members declared that an armed attack against one or more of them in Europe or North America shall be considered an attack against all of them. They would assist the party or parties so attacked by taking such action as deemed necessary, including use of armed forces. Okay. So basically, this is the Article 5, and when Trump said that we will not go for any help, and that means that you are defying Article 5. Okay. So here, by suggesting he would not take military action to defend allies, Trump undermined the assumptions that gave Article 5 its power. Okay. So that is about Article 5 and NATO. Basically, you can say that it is a collective security organization. Now, moving further, South Africa moves to UN court as Gazan starts fleeing Rafah. So basically, South Africa has earlier also gone to UN saying that Israel is performing genocide. So that point of time, they have advised Israel not to perform a genocide. Okay, because obviously these international courts are not having any binding. Even they give the judgment, there is no implementation force, and there is no police which can take care that if there is no implementation of the order or not. Okay. So South Africa asked the World Court to consider whether Israel's plan to extend its offensive in Gaza into city of Rafah requires additional emergency measures to protect the Palestinians' rights. Okay. So that has been going on in Israel. So just remember that South Africa has moved to UN court earlier as well and now as well. Okay, because of their concerns related to genocide. Now, Mayotte, this particular island, there is a dilemma which has been discussed in the news recently. Hold on. So, under that dilemma, what has this particular territory or Mayotte it is the Indian Ocean territory of France, or you can say it is an island nation. It is an island owned by France in Indian Ocean. Okay. So when we are talking about France, they give their citizenship on two bases. That is, one is parentage. Okay, if your parents are citizen. Second thing is on the basis of birth. Okay. But the thing is, in this particular island, France has said that if you are having your birth in this island, that is not a sufficient basis for gaining a citizenship. You should have parentage as well. Okay. So here the thing is, they have refused to give citizenship based on the birthplace in this particular island. When we are talking about the location of island, you can say that this is India and this is Maldives, Chagos Peninsula archipelago, and then somewhere here near Madagascar we have this island, small island here, that is Mayotte. Okay. Mayotte is facing some immigration related issues or migration related issues. People from Comoros are kind of migrating to Mayotte, and since this is the territory of France, people living here are applying for the citizenship of France, and France is saying that on the basis of birth only you cannot get citizenship, you have to have the parentage. Okay, so that is why this was an issue, and since it is in our vicinity, it is in Indian Ocean region, that is why you should remember that there are certain islands which are important for you, that is Comoros, Mayotte, Seychelles, Madagascar, Reunion Islands, Mauritius, Chagos Archipelago, Maldives, etc. Okay, so this map can be important for you. So please have a look at these locations. Okay, now moving further, that is for your own read. There are two articles. That is, one is related to HAPS, high altitude pseudo satellite. So basically, we have talked about features of this HAPS in our previous discussions. That is why I am not going into details of it. But for our own interest, if you want to go beyond the technology of this particular thing, you can go and read this particular article. and if you don't want to read it, just go and watch In Focus series. In this we have covered this article. Okay, now moving further, there is another article for your own read, because there was two newspapers. So BAPS temple inaugurated by PM Modi in Abu Dhabi, features and significance. I will just tell you the important things here, otherwise you can go in depth series and you can have a look at the video over there. Okay, now since it is given in the explained section, so it is quite simple language, and it can be important for you that Swaminarayan temple in Abu Dhabi has been inaugurated by Indian PM over there. Okay, it is first Hindu temple to be built in UAE. Okay, now Swaminarayan Sampradaya, it is a Vaishnav sect of Hinduism. Swaminarayan Sampradaya, mostly it is famous in areas of Gujarat as well. Okay, so you must have heard the name Akshardham. Okay, all the Akshardham, be it in Ahmedabad or be it in Delhi, these are related to this Swaminarayan Sampradaya. Okay, so when we are talking about BAPS, that is Bochasan Vasi Akshar Purushottam Swaminarayan. Okay, so that is the name of the temple, so that you can remember. Other than that, when we are talking about features of this temple, here you can see it is a Nagar style temple. It is clear by even having a look at it. Okay, it is a Nagar style temple. There are shikhar. Okay, and we have this mandapam. This is based on it is actually raised on a raised platform, that is Jagati. So you can say that this is Jagati. Okay, these are shikhars, anda, all these things are over here, chhatri. And then when we are talking about mandapams, these are there. So basically we can say that this is a temple which is made in an Islamic country based on Nagar style of architecture. Okay, so that is another thing which can be important for you. Now they have 7 shikhar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. These 7 shikhars are basically representing these 7 emirates of United Arab Emirates. Okay, so they are basically representing 7 these things. This has been made out of pink sandstone. Okay, and that stone has been you can say sent from Rajasthan. Okay, so there is this dome of harmony, dome of peace. Okay, all these things you can go and just have a look at it. And then there is this wall of harmony. Okay, so all these things are present in this particular temple. So mostly for your exam point of view, you can remember that this is from a Nagar style. Now this sect become important, Swaminarayan Sampradaya. You can just go and read about it, because they can ask about important you can say saints which are or you can say those people who have spread this sect, they can ask about them. Okay, now moving further for your practice question, Mayotte is located in which ocean? Option A, Atlantic Ocean, B, Pacific Ocean, C, Indian Ocean and D, Arctic Ocean. So that is very easy question. You have to attempt this and answer in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.